It's a massive conflict of interest.
BCYF received $16 million taxpayer dollars from Baltimore City this fiscal year that it's guaranteed annually to support programs for kids. For over a year, we've been investigating how the nonprofit uses this taxpayer money, which includes hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on salaries and out-of-state trips.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Parker.
This legislation aligns with and strengthens the fund's hard-won success in youth leadership, technical assistance for grantees, transparency and community engagement in governance and grant-making processes.
In September, Councilman Mark Parker proposed a bill he wrote that would establish updated regulations of BCYF, including measures that would increase financial reporting for the nonprofit's grantees. Our investigation found that Parker was added to BCYF's board the same month he introduced the bill.
There is a huge conflict of interest. If you are a council member and you are legislating any sort of regulations or anything for a nonprofit, that you are a board member.
That's David Williams, the president of the Taxpayer Protection Alliance. He said Parker's role on the board could lead him to favor the interest of BCYF's leadership over Baltimore City taxpayers.
That's the biggest concern, is that any sort of legislation that comes from Councilmember Parker could really just be watered down and not provide the transparency that taxpayers and all citizens of Baltimore City deserve.
Parker's initial draft of the bill would have restricted BCYF from awarding grants to groups affiliated with its staff, board, or their family members. A concern Spotlight on Maryland exposed in 2024 when a BCYF board member's nonprofit was awarded more than $200,000 taxpayer dollars. However, that measure was removed in a revised version of the bill. So how and why was Parker added to BCYF's board? The Baltimore City Code, as established through City Council legislation in 2020, requires that of BCYF's board, one shall be the City Council President or a City Council member designated by the City Council President. Parker, despite being added to the board in September, was listed as absent at BCYF's last published board meeting minutes from October, where the primary focus of the meeting was Council Bill 250100, which Parker wrote. We sent Parker the following questions. When exactly were you added to BCYF's board? Do you have documentation of this? Why were you absent at BCYF's last board meeting? Why is the Baltimore City Council just now putting one of its members on the BCYF board? Is it a conflict of interest for you to write a bill that updates regulations of a nonprofit that you sit on the board of? Are you interested in a sit-down interview? Parker did not respond. We tried to interview Parker before a City Council hearing last week, but he declined.
Hey, Councilman Parker, you got a quick minute for an interview?
I do not.
Can we make time to talk about the youth fund at some point?
I think it's certainly possible. We're working hard on it.
When did they add you to the board? I saw that recently.
Oh, I think you looked at the City Council records probably back in August, I think.
Okay, it was August. Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Thanks.
We were unable to locate this supposed record.
In this case, we want to strengthen some of the transparency.
A spokeswoman for City Council President Zeke Cohen confirmed that Parker was added to the board in September, making him the first City Council member to serve on the board despite it being a requirement since 2020. She told Spotlight on Maryland that BCYF bylaws specify that the City Council President or the council member of the President's choice may serve on the board. Since BCYF's inception, no other City Council president has leveraged their authority to appoint themselves or a council member to the board. A spokesman for BCYF told Spotlight on Maryland that Parker was added to the board in September and attended the November board meeting, which will have its board minutes made public next month. The spokesman expressed optimism about working with Parker on his bill, telling us, "We absolutely agree that taxpayers deserve a voice in how their dollars are spent, and have advocated for public hearings and feedback sessions throughout this process, including the most recent hearing, which was specifically held to receive input from Baltimore City residents." Williams took issue with the timing of when Parker was added to the board.
It's very suspicious that for 5+ years, the nonprofit did not have a council member on their board as required. And now that there's scrutiny, we see that they add a council member, and Councilmember Parker, to their board. The same council member who just happens to be offering legislation that regulate this nonprofit.
You can read more on our website from BCYF and Cohen's office. Now, it's worth noting that the Baltimore City Inspector General released a report in November that found Baltimore City leaders have a lack of oversight of BCYF. The office is expected to release another report in the coming weeks on BCYF's operations. We'll continue to track these developments. For Spotlight on Maryland, I'm Patrick Huff.
I'm Kai Jackson. Thank you for watching. Here's another video to watch. Also, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel.